Hey McDoes, this is Vention. Pardon my voice. I was a little sick the last couple days. Today, I finally felt well enough to go back to work. But that's what sick leave is for, you know. Uh, but anyway, what I wanted to quickly discuss today is that I see that the unconfirmed transactions have dropped from like 95,000 down to like 26,000, and I suspect I know why. Um, to give a little history, what we've been seeing lately is that, like over the last 3 or 4 months, somebody has been spamming the shit out of the network and forcing the unconfirmed transactions up, and uh, and the Chinese miners, they have been saying that they need bigger blocks in order to facilitate the network and keep everything running smoothly. But the thing is, they weren't mining all the block space that was available anyway. So why should we even consider them forking the network to give bigger blocks when they're not even using the ones that they have efficiently? So basically, there's what turned out to be the case is that they have a sneaky, underhanded, trade secret method of mining bitcoins for like 30% less electricity to get the same amount of bitcoins, which is like millions, many millions of dollars every year. That's a huge benefit for them, and they have been able to take greater market share of Bitcoin production and centralize it in China. And other companies that tried to mine in the normal way without their little trade secret, they've gone out of business all over the world. Not too long ago, there was a company in Iceland that was mining bitcoins, and they couldn't do it. They had to close their doors because even with the really cheap electricity in Iceland, they still couldn't compete. And the CEO was talking about how he can't understand how they can create so many miners and how they can get such a huge market share when if unless they had some kind of special way of mining. And it was sad to see them go out of business, but basically China, or the Bitmain company, was able to just suck up all the bitcoins and centralize the mining in China, and except for some, but most of it is in China, and put a lot of people out of business. And it's a brutal, nasty thing, and and it was a trade secret. They could not let go of that trade secret because it makes the company vastly more profitable. So they just couldn't let it go, and they hired some hack programmers and put this Bitcoin Unlimited software together to try to hide the fact that they just didn't want segregated witness. Because if segregated witness is adopted, their special way of mining is gone, right? It'll solve that problem. But so they were, for the last many months, they have been trying to jam the network and force the fees up and make it really difficult in order to pressure the Bitcoin community into knuckling under and allowing them to fork Bitcoin over to Bitcoin Unlimited, which would have been a disaster. It's such a buggy piece of software. It was like crashing all the time, and it's just not something we need. And even then, they're not mining the blocks completely anyway. Oftentimes they're not filling the blocks with transactions. And recently, one of those guys were bragging about how they mined empty blocks. and left all those transactions hanging. That just pissed everybody off. And then some of the community got together and programmed a piece of software called that enforces what they call the user activated soft fork, and they are forcing segregated witness on the Bitcoin miners, and it's going to level the playing field so that anybody in the world will be able to mine Bitcoins, not just China. So basically what I'm seeing now, though, is now that Bitcoin, the user-activated soft fork, is really got legs and people are really loading nodes and everything. Let me see here. The node tracker here on saltylemon.org is now saying that we have about 10% of the network, right? These are the full node pieces of full node software. You know, the people who run a full Bitcoin node. We are the ones who validate the blocks that the miners find and broadcast to the network. And on August 1st, the user-activated soft fork nodes will start refusing blocks that are not segregated witness, and we are basically going to force the issue. And if they don't start, if they don't mine basically segregated witness blocks, there's going to be an enormous number of nodes starting up by a lot of really angry Bitcoin users such as myself. Now, I run a node right now. I'm part of this 10%, but it requires a good deal of bandwidth, and some people might only be able to run it for a while. So you know, I encourage any of my subscribers to download the user-activated soft fork software and start running a full node, and make your voice heard, and basically force segregated witness on these centralized underhanded Chinese miners. Now, they're just corporations we're dealing with, right? Bitmain chiefly being the worst of them. And they will do what is profitable for them. And that will be, they can either fork Bitcoin and mine some kind of version of Bitcoin that nobody wants, and maybe get $50 per coin and still spend the full hashing power that they have. Or they can start mining segregated witness Bitcoins and then enjoy the vast uptick in value that that the segregated witness Bitcoins will have on the market. So basically, they have really done a lot of damage to the Bitcoin network because the price, I mean, the percentage of Bitcoin versus the rest of the network used to be like 80%. Bitcoin was like over 80% of the network, and then because of the miners' sabotage, they have pretty much allowed all of the other Bitcoins to gain on versions of Bitcoin, to get all of the other cryptocurrencies to gain market share on Bitcoin. And now, today, Bitcoin is only 42% of the network. And Ethereum is really nipping at Bitcoin's heels, and it's possible, quite possible, that over the next couple months, its market share or its market cap might increase above the market cap of Bitcoin. Here's the market capitalizations. I got a bunch of shortcuts on my keyboard here. Bit Ethereum is now $373 each, and its market cap is only 10 billion below Bitcoin now. I think over the next couple months, it's quite probable that Ethereum will be the top dog. Now, that I believe is only a temporary thing, but basically, let's not get to that quite yet. What I wanted to discuss was, yes, the unconfirmed transactions are going down. They were like 100,000 or 95,000 or something. And now I think some actors have stopped sabotaging the network, and I suspect I know why. The Chinese miners submitted are behind another version of segregated witness that should start up in about like sometime next year, right? And it will increase the block size and add segregated witness, but it's just nobody is behind it except them, pretty much. And what I think they're doing here is they're taking away, or they're trying to decrease the pressure that they have been applying to the network to get their Bitcoin unlimited, and they're trying to set it up so that it'll look like Bitcoin can limp along until next year, when their BIP 149 version of segregated witness will activate. Now, I suspect that if we let them go that far, they still wouldn't accept it because unless they had to, basically, and so I don't think that they will do that. So what's going to happen is we are now forcing them with the user-activated soft fork to accept segregated witness, and then then everything's going to be great. And I suspect if we get segregated witness, I would not be surprised to see a $5,000 Bitcoin price by the end of the year. That's a common opinion in the network. So basically, so what I think they're doing is they're letting the pressure off, trying to make it look like we can survive until next year. But I think that they're just trying, and it's not going to happen. We have already got 10% of the nodes, the full nodes, are now enforcing the user-activated soft fork. And there have been some spikes of a lot of people starting these nodes, and apparently they can't afford the bandwidth or something, or they're just setting it up so that they can start their nodes in August and force the issue. In fact, I would highly encourage any of my fellow Bitcoiners in the MGTOW community to consider downloading the new software, the user-activated soft fork software, and set up a node if you can, and then get it ready so that you can run that thing in August and rain down a lot of hurt on the frickin' Chinese miners, because they have gotten too powerful. They have got to be stopped. So basically, that's why I think the user-activated soft fork, I believe that is why things are going to be okay with the Bitcoin network. Pardon my voice. I just got over this nasty cold. Missed a couple days of work too. I went back to work today, but I still got a little residual damage to my voice. Okay, but over the long haul, I am not really an Ethereum kind of guy. I mean, I've got 8,000 or so in Ethereum, and I've certainly enjoyed the run-up because I made a couple extra thousand. But basically, most of the way, I'm pretty much a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm thinking that between now and August, I'll probably keep that 8 grand in Ethereum because I suspect we are going to see Ethereum increase in price past Bitcoin. Okay, here, let me plug in my charger because it is giving me warning signs here. Okay, so the reason I think that Ethereum over the long haul is not going to be really that as successful as Bitcoin is because Ethereum is being misused right now. We're seeing company or like people creating projects and in issuing what amounts to stock in their project, and they're not even incorporated oftentimes, and they and it's basically doing sort of a decentralized version of the stock market, and but it's like completely lawless, and it's some of them are just complete scams. Some of them have been vaporware with no actual clients, nothing, no product for like a couple of years. And the most recent is the basic attention token. It actually has a use case. The Brave browser here, it basically will use the basic attention token for some kind of advertising thing, I think. But anyway, the basic attention token was purchased in the ICO by just like 160 super crypto elites who had just tons of money, and they purchased it, and then they're flipping a lot of it onto the market, and the price is just going down to down, 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 down. Looks like it may have found a short-term bottom, and that it increased like 8% today, but I am not impressed with it. And the thing is, a lot of these companies, these people, these projects, what they're doing is they're issuing their tokens on Ethereum, and then they're turning around and then they're issuing the token again on Ethereum Classic and maybe Rootstock, and there's a couple others that they can use, and eventually, and that robs the value of the tokens that were previously bought or already purchased. And a lot of these things are really scammy. They have the stink of the .com bubble back in the year 2000. But a lot of Bitcoin people are too young to remember this. At least they may have heard stories, but they didn't live it. But eventually what's going to happen is people are going to see, oops, pardon me, dropped the phone. They're going to see people like losing money, and all these tokens are not going to go anywhere, and then eventually they're going to stop buying them, and then when they stop buying them, they don't need as much Ethereum to buy them with, so therefore Ethereum, the pressure that's pushing it up will go away or decrease. And then on top of that, they're talking about forking Ethereum again over into what do they call that? Proof of stake. So if you have a lot of Bitcoins, you can make more Bitcoins because you have a lot of Bitcoins, and and then that's going to piss off a lot of people who are currently mining Ethereum, and then they're going to have they're going to run the old chain again. And just like when they split Ethereum before, when like the insiders lost a lot of money on what they called the DAO, and then basically their money disappeared because it was hacked, because the token was poorly programmed, and then basically that pissed off a lot of people because they forked the coin to make whole the super elite in Ethereum, and claw back all of that wealth from the hacker. And that pissed off a lot of people because the code is supposed to be the law, right? If the code is strong, you know, I mean, basically it's supposed to be something that is irreversible, but it apparently is not because they forked it. That pissed off a lot of people. Then they ran Ethereum Classic, and now we have two Ethereums, Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. And as soon as they fork Ethereum again, then they're going to piss off a lot of people who are mining Ethereum currently, and then they're going to effectively make a third. So then there will be three. There will be Ethereum Classic, Ethereum Work, like call it for proof of work. Then there's going to be the main Ethereum, which is then proof of stake. And that will dilute a lot. So basically there's a number of things that are working against Ethereum. So their number one position, if they manage to make it to number one, might not be a permanent thing, especially after Bitcoin gets segregated witness and the Lightning Network. Yeah, I think, but for the short term, I plan on holding that $8,000 that I have in Ethereum until August 1st. And then once the Bitcoin segregated witness thing, once the dust settles, then I'll flip it back to Bitcoin and enjoy the run up from there. So yeah, that's what we got. That's why I think that the unconfirmed transactions are quite a bit lower. So this wasn't really a MGTOW video. Sorry, guys. So I guess that's about it. And don't get married.